become the expert for young people to get access to lending. Find everything out that you can. Go to the bank in your local neighborhood and sit down with a banker and be like, listen, I need to understand your requirements to get approved for a loan. Give me everything that I need to know, because I have a lot of young people who want to basically start businesses and I need to educate them correctly on this. So give me the facts. Then you turn that into an ad, you turn that into a content. Henrietta, are you live here with us today?
Yes.
Hey, how are you? Good to have you here. Let's dive into your question. Excited for this next call. My question this week is around qualifying leads on the financial aspect. Questions like, do you currently have a job or monthly income? Are you eligible for a loan? Should I ask them in a discovery call after watching a webinar and before the discovery process, or during the business setup call after the discovery process? And where within the script, in what way should I ask this, as it can be quite the personal question where people aren't too open about sharing? Yeah, so essentially, where are you asking them to commit to the business? At what point? Like, when are you getting on the phone with them, and how many times are you talking to them on the phone?
So our processes are mostly that we send them, like we only text with them, then we send them a webinar, and then usually if they don't directly want to join the discovery process, I offer them a one-on-one call with me, which is a discovery call. And then usually we go on a business setup call after they watch the discovery process.
But when are you closing them on actually investing in the products?
The business setup call.
The business setup call. And how many leads are you currently generating?
Between 10 to 12 per day.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that you don't want to waste your time on the phone with someone who's not qualified to start?
Yeah, like for a while I didn't do the discovery calls. So I like only tried to like push them through from the webinar to discovery process, so that I only had to like hop on the business setup call with them where we actually like looked at if they want to invest in trifecta or a quad. But then like in between I had less leads, and then I also had like a mismatch of people not actually wanting to join the discovery process. Like they just had too many doubts and they just didn't want to join. So now I'm actually like I have more leads now. Like for the last month, I've had way more leads per day again. But I'm also offering like discovery calls again to like close that mismatch between them not wanting to join the discovery process.
Yeah, no, that's really great. Great job on finding a step in between the steps to service those people. Definitely, that's awesome. But what you also need to think about when you're doing this is how you can extract what they're telling you on those discovery calls to find out where the holes are in your process. Because that
Mhm.
could technically be like a temporary solution that you then update the webinar or the content that they see before, so that they're more comfortable going to the next step. So are they sharing with you anything specific on those calls of like why they don't want to do the discovery process, or like are they telling you anything that has been like surprising?
I think the most recurring objections for me is that they're not sure if they can do this kind of business, or that they're like really skeptical about sales. And I think the other main objection for me is the money, because like my audience is really young. Like I started when I was 21, and like also most people that I want to help are like younger students, like in college or like university. And like I started so that I don't ever have to get into a 9 to 5, but it's really difficult to find people that have this mindset and also who have like the financial resources at this age, because like when people go to college or whatever, they don't usually have like a steady income. And where I live in the Netherlands, you are also usually not eligible to like get a loan in those kind of situations. So it's really difficult for those people to actually get started if you don't have like savings or whatever.
No, that's really good. So what are the options for someone to get funding, financing?
I mean, I started from savings because I started the year after Corona. So I had like after COVID, so I had like savings from a trip that I actually couldn't go on because of COVID. And I think most of the girls that I know from the business who are in my age, they all had savings from trips they couldn't go on, like kind of still in their bank account that they then use to invest in the business. Um, if you're kind of like already in your first or second year of like working a stable job, you might be eligible to like get a loan. And otherwise, like people could, for example, learn from their parents. But I think this is also not something people really like to do.
Yeah, okay. This is really, really good stuff right here. So, number one, are you running ads or creating content around exactly what you're saying right now? Talking about
Not
savings,
not my
talking
ads, but I'm trying to feed more about like investing into my content. I don't do it like often enough, but I'm trying to.
because this is a conversation that reminds me of one that I had with Genevieve. I'm not sure if she's here on live or not, but have you two connected yet or no?
Yeah, we actually had a call after last month or
Oh,
like
that's
call. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So I had a conversation with her around this similarly, which is I told her to position herself as an expert or like an authority for the younger generation on how to build credit, how to prepare for this kind of thing in her content. So she started talking about some ways where you can get like a secured credit card, how you can make sure that your cell phone in Canada is like on your name, which also helps build credit with something like a very low monthly reoccurring, $100, whatever cell phones cost these days, like the cell phone plan. And actually giving these tips to people where they may not be able to get started in the business right away, but in 3, 6, 12 months, they become leads that you're nurturing for the future. So that's one thing that I would recommend for you is basically like in your content or in your ads, talk about that mentality where most likely your parents and other young people's parents have been teaching their children to save for a rainy day or these kinds of like things that people talk about all the time. And then it's like reframing that as like, no, you're saving to invest into the life that you actually want. Like, what's the use of having this money in the bank that you're just going to go spend on a 1 week or 2 week holiday every year? Instead, you invest that into a business like I did. And look, now I can go on holidays anytime I want. Now I can earn that type of income and commissions off of one single sale that took me, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months in my job to save up, right? So, what did you do around the COVID time for work where you saved the money for a trip? What were you doing?
I was working a lot while I was still in high school. Like it was like a bartender kind of working at events thing. I worked that job like basically most of the time that I was in high school because I've always wanted to go like on trips. So like I was actually always like saving up like for a trip,
Exactly.
basically. And then
So,
only because COVID hit, I actually had that money left over because I couldn't go on the trip that I actually saved for.
yeah, so this what I'm saying is this is perfect because people COVID or no COVID don't make it about COVID. That was just a timing thing. But there's many young people that work evenings and weekends, bartending, serving, events, odd jobs, freelancing, this kind of thing is very popular. And a lot of them are doing it with this desire to travel, this desire to go on holidays and trips. So what you need to do is basically interject your content into this mindset where they're already saving, but when you talk about a business, they're going to say I can't afford it because their money that they're saving is for the trip, right? This is money we don't talk about. We don't touch this money. That's the
Mhm.
mentality. So they're almost not even going to mention that that money exists because they're so excited about the next trip. But your job is to go listen. Are you going to continue on the cycle to keep doing the save and then trip and then save and then trip? Or are you going to skip one or two trips, invest in a business, learn the set of skills, and then be in a position to have time, location, and financial freedom for the rest of your life and avoid going to the 9 to 5, avoid going to the that type of schedule? That's massive. And then I would do a lot of research for the Netherlands where your demographic is. I don't know if you're trying to build your business exclusively there or if you're running ads like internationally to other places, but become the expert for young people to get access to lending in Netherlands. Find everything out that you can. Go to the bank in your local neighborhood and sit down with a banker and be like, listen, I need to understand your requirements to get approved for a loan for 10,000 euro or whatever the currency is. Give me everything that I need to know because I have a lot of young people who want to basically start businesses and I need to educate them correctly on this. So give me the facts. Then you turn that into an ad, you turn that into a content. And Genevieve is mentioning here that, a lot of young girls are messaging her saying, I know I need a credit card to start from your page. How do we get one?
Hmm.
Right? So you want to almost create a sense of confidence in young people that getting lending is not a bad thing. Having debt is not a bad thing. No fear around it, that it's positive and that the wealthiest people use other people's money to make more money and to not be afraid of like an interest rate on a credit card and things like this. So you could really establish yourself as a go-to authority and leader for younger people to think about money differently and teach financial literacy.
Yeah, that's a good
That's
one.
a great point, Jill. Is comparing it to student loans, comparing it to other things, comparing it to like, I don't know if young people in Netherlands like they lease a car or try to get a new car and they have monthly payments or any of that kind of thing, or if they use public transport as the regular, way to do things. But what the local culture is. And then the other strategy that I also recommend that you think about is you mentioned it briefly earlier where you said if they are a little bit older and they already have full-time work and they've established like some history, right? Then they can possibly get a loan. So what age would that be, like a little bit older than your age or
I mean, I guess that would be after your master study, so something like 26, maybe 27, so like 3 years older than me or something.
okay. So I would do some testing on running ads to a little bit older demographic to you and trying to basically catch them right around the time they finish their school. Because
Hmm.
I think there's an interesting thing that happens to people all the time. I've noticed this my whole career with this business is people are not very good at planning for the future and not just planning in the practical sense of like how much money do I need 10 years from now to live the life I want, not like that. But they're not good at planning how they're going to feel. They have no context. So I'll give you an example. How many moms, using women as an example, have this vision for becoming a mom, having a family, having some kids, and all this kind of thing, but they're also passionate about a career, for example, like they really enjoy real estate or they really enjoy something that they're doing before the kids. And then they have the kid and they get maternity leave. They have this bond and this connection with their child, but they have this limited runway of 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, depending on where they live in the world for maternity leave. And then right around like halfway through maternity leave, they're like, I can't imagine leaving my baby. Like, I can't imagine going back to the workforce. I can't imagine putting my child in daycare. And most of them still have to, but they know they don't want to. And a lot of the time it wasn't anticipated like that this will happen. And so a lot of the women with young children actually join Enagic in during maternity leave. A lot of them do because there
Mhm.
starts to be this window of time where they're like, I don't want to go back. And I know a 9 to 5 isn't going to solve my problem. And I know it's kind of this weird thing where like I make this much in my job, but then my daycare costs pretty much the same. So like I'm going to work away from my kid to just pay for someone to take care. Wait a second, what? Like this kind of stuff starts to happen. And I think for college and university students it's very similar. It's like you have this goal, your parents told you that, you're only successful if you get a degree or a master's or 4 years of school or 6 years of school or whatever it is. So you're just dead set on this vision, right? Tunnel vision, like get my degree, finish school, make my parents proud, go, 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 go. And then they graduate and they just have this moment of like, I don't even want this. I don't even want this shit, right? I got this job now to pay for the student loan, but like I don't even want to do this that much. And like I see these people on Instagram, they're traveling and that's what I want to do. So it's almost like a midlife crisis happening right after college, right after university. is becoming more normal. So you are in a position to speak to that and let them know that, hey, listen, even though you have a degree and you went to school, it doesn't mean that you're committed to this for life. You can still change your mind. And I think a lot of the time people get stuck in this thing like, I've already paid this money. I've already spent years learning this topic. Like, I feel like such a loser if I don't do this now and I change my mind, I go a different direction. And we have an opportunity to speak to that and go, no, man, you're not a loser. You're human. You're evolving. You're growing. You're realizing that there's a different life that you desire and might as well do it now because what are you going to do? Like wait 10, 15, 20 years and then do it then? As soon as you get that urge, like you got to act on it sooner than later. So I think a lot of us younger people in this business, we should be speaking into this and not condescendingly, not putting them down, not being like you're an idiot, not that, but actually being like, look, I get it, man. It's not easy being a young person in 2025. It really isn't because a lot of the stuff that we've been taught is sort of outdated or like very outdated and it kind of set us up to fail. And our parents and people who taught us this, they didn't want us to fail. They didn't have bad intentions. Of course, our parents love us. They want the best for us, but they just didn't know any better. And so much has changed in the last 20 years that it was hard for them to even parent and coach and keep up, right? So we just got to speak into this, being like, listen, here are some potential alternative options for you. And then what I would also do as a really powerful comparison is I would compare the young person, 19 to 21, to the
Hmm.
25 to 28, the pros and cons. So, like on this hand, the younger person, the pro is that they haven't spent the money on college or university. They haven't, wasted all this time to then realize this isn't what they want. However, a con is they have harder time getting funding. They don't get access to loans. They have to ask their parents. They got to use savings. They have to sacrifice some holidays and trips that they were saving up for. So you can see how there's some pros, yes, younger age, more opportunity. There's some cons too. And then flip side, you compare now to the 20, 25 to the person that you're saying is done school, has a full-time job, is making some money, can get approved on the loan. They have a different experience. They can talk about, hey, look, if had I known this when I was 21, I would have done it sooner. But now I'm here and actually I was able to get funding really easily and jump right in and leverage my experience from college to actually, be more powerful in my story. See what I'm saying? So then you can actually be running ads and communicating to both. And I think you're right in the middle between the two. So your arms reach from either one. You can reach over here and talk to the younger version of you, and you can reach over here and talk to the 3 years older version of you, of like almost like a tip. Like, hey, by the way, you may want to consider this, because there's people in the community that are this age that are crushing it. So that's my advice on how you can do this. In terms of the question, I would definitely ask during the discovery call for now, just to kind of get back to exactly what you're asking. Um, and some of the ways you can ask so you don't, because you said it's like a sensitive topic for people, right? And that they're younger and stuff, you don't want to offend them. Some of the ideas you can ask them is like, just to help me guide you properly, can I ask, do you currently have a steady source of income or a job right now? It's not like aggressive.
Right.
Um, Many people we work with either pay up front or access a small line of credit. Have you ever used a personal loan or payment plan to invest in something important to you? And then basically, it's like this helps me guide you to the best starting point and save your time. So I hope that's okay. So you can kind of address this in a, um, careful way of wording it so you don't create that. Another thing, too, that is powerful for asking for loans from parents is I think the way you ask is really important. And you can teach people how to ask more effectively. Because essentially, asking for a loan is making a sale. You're making a sale to your parents on trusting you with the money. So you can't just be like, hey, mom, can I have 10 grand? It's like, well, maybe how people do it, right? Your mom's like, nope, but you can go wash the dishes and take out the trash. Like, damn it. So instead, you have to ask more like, listen, mom, I have this incredible vision for my future, right? I desire an online income, an online business, and I came across a community that I really believe can help me get there. But I need some help getting the funding to get this business off the ground. And whether you believe in this thing or not is not the point because I'm going to do it regardless, but I'll make you an offer. I'll make you a proposal. And you structure it like a business deal, right? So let's say you
Mhm.
need 10,000 as an example. Be like, listen, if you let me borrow 10,000, here's what I'll do. I'll pay you 50% of every commission check that I receive until it's paid back to you. And I'll pay you an extra 50% interest on the loan. So I'll pay you back 15,000 and I'll pay you from every check, I'll pay you half until it's paid off. Now that's more of a business deal. Now your parents are going to be proud of you to negotiate as opposed to just asking for a handout, right? Because you're not going to pay 50% interest to the bank. That's high. That's crazy, right? Most people wouldn't accept those terms. But because it's your parents and you're kind of skipping a couple of steps, I don't have the credit, I don't have the history, I don't have this, I'm young. I think that a lot of parents will like almost be like impressed, like okay, you got yourself a deal, and now they're invested in your success because you're going to get paid back off of every commission check, and it's fair. You're not saying I'll pay you back for my 2 week paycheck. You're saying every time I make a sale, I'll give you half. So now you can put this in your content as well. Is there's no shortage of money in the world, but how you ask for it matters.
Yeah, thank you.
Does that give you some ideas?
Yeah, for sure.
And you're crushing it. I think I give so much respect to anybody who's young in this business and also targeting a younger demographic because you're shaping the future of the world. Like you're shaping future generations at such a core age where if the parents didn't teach these principles and concepts as you grew up, and they're now finally starting to kind of think for themselves like what do I want. It's not underneath the parental umbrella living at home and like being super influenced by everything your parents say you should like and want. You're starting to go like what do I want, and then you and Genevieve and other young people step in and go like have you ever thought about this, have you ever considered this, like leveraging the power of social. I think it's incredible, like the coolest thing in the world, but you will encounter some different challenges than other people. So you just have to persist through that. But once you get the ball rolling, I told the same thing to Genevieve about once you get this process dialed and you bring a young person in, and this young person used to see the world in a specific way. They had certain beliefs and certain perceptions around money and a job and a career and school and a degree and all the things that you know is pretty standard, and you shift I can't talk, you shift their um point of view. That's a testimonial, not the make a sale and make a money and quit my job, but just I used to think about things like this, and I met Henrietta and she told me this, and I can't unsee that anymore. That's a testimonial that you want to leverage in your ads and your content. And then what will happen is as you get a handful of younger people in your business and they start sharing these mindset shifts and personal growth shifts and becoming an entrepreneur at a young age and tax write-offs and traveling and location freedom and so on, once you get a little bit of momentum, 5, 10, 15 people in this group, it starts to pick up. So you're just trying to get the beginning part going. Maddie says connect with Aubrey. Yeah, Aubrey's almost 682-3. She's still -2, but she's very close. Um, but yeah, she's amazing. She just became a mom. She's fully supported. She's like around 25 years old. So that window is such a unique time that teaching people about credit, financial literacy, saving to invest into a business instead of saving to invest into a trip. Also, sometimes younger people have purchased like clothes and like maybe they like designer stuff or who knows whatever they might be interested in. Also teaching people to like liquidate and sell things off, like I think one of the most powerful shifts that someone can make when they're scrapped financially and they don't have a lot of credit and things to start is to look around their house and be like, I got a PlayStation, I got a bike, I got a motorcycle, I got a boat. You know, it depends obviously how old you are. Like older people typically have some extra things like that, toys, extra clothes, uh, all kinds of different things. And it's like, if I sell this stuff, I can come up with two or $3,000, invest that towards my business, and then a year from now, rebuy everything that I genuinely miss that I wish I still owned and just get the latest and the best one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But people are so, I don't know, man. They're just not very good at solving their own problems. They're just like, "Oh, I don't have the money." It's like, "Really? That's it? You don't have any ideas? Like, let's get resourceful. Let's come up with some ways to do things." Uh Even just like odd jobs. Like I remember I've heard so many stories, people going around doing landscaping stuff, around the neighborhood, just knocking on doors. Hey, I'll clean up your leaves for spring, clean up your yard, get rid of all the weeds for $100. Here's 100, or shoveling snow, or like just all kinds of like really easy ways to come up with money. Going to garage sales and flipping stuff, right? Gary Vaynerchuk is a big one on this, where you go to a garage sale and people are just getting rid of their old things, and you go on your phone on eBay and literally check the price of that item, and they're selling for $60, but you can buy it uh, at the garage sale for $5. Literally buy it for $5, turn around, put it on eBay, and they're selling for $60. Like there's so many ways of coming up with some money, and young people need to leverage those ideas.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.